For our replay viewers, thanks for tuning in to this brand new film session series presented by Quick Timeout Podcast. Many of you are familiar with the Coffee with Coaches series that's been running throughout the off season, but with the basketball season starting up here, we're going to shift our focus a little bit more to X's and O's and not just talk about strategy and not just have people come on and talk, but actually to show and maybe do some film breakdowns for us. So they'll come in and talk. It'll be coaches from around the country. We also want to make this interactive as much as possible. So to do that, you can simply reply to this post with a comment or a question, and we can feature you a little bit later. We'll have a question and answer towards the end of this. With many of us playing games in the month of November, coaches are already starting to think about preparing for opponents. So instead of talking X's and O's, I invited a couple guys from Fast Model Sports on to talk about scouting and specifically their new FastScout software. Robbie Lehman is the man behind the social media accounts for Fast Model. Robbie, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
No problem, Tony. Thanks for having us. And yeah, really excited. Again, I am the content manager at Fast Model. So if you've read our emails, if you're following on Twitter, if you're reading the blog and those things, that's me behind that. And yeah, thanks for having us. And thank you for being a great contributor of ours for a couple of years now. Time flies. I feel like you just started, but and then just sharing the game. You do a great job with embracing all the sharing aspects of basketball and helping coaches get better. And so I'm assuming if anyone's following right now and watching, they know about your stuff. But I just want to reiterate: don't be shy. Go back a couple of years, even find Tony's blog posts on our blog. Find his page on our Playbank, Plays for Days. So plenty of good content. So again, appreciate you being a great contributor for us. Now, I wrote a blog post last week, and I did my best to kind of describe running a business and how that's similar to coaching in the sense that it's not perfect. You got to take risks, you got to test things, kind of see what works, measure stuff, and a lot of times you're starting that process over again. And as much as we'd like to think we can draw it up in Fast Draw, there is no perfect play. That coaches are going to have to make adjustments. You can drop a perfect play in the huddle, but it's not going to probably happen the same way once you get in the court. So in that post, I talked about that, and we've really worked hard these last couple of years to make our products better. In the past, Fast Draw and FastScout have been separate products, and that's by the nature of them being two different desktop applications. Now, technology has changed, workflows have changed, and that goes for any industry. So we worked really hard to make these on the web, and that's really making kind of continuous evolution for us at Fast Model, and making things more efficient for coaches. So anyways, that blog post is out there. It really details a little bit more between our essentials package and our premium too, which is kind of, for better terminology, that basic versus advanced. That main difference really is going to be just more licenses. With the premium one, you're going to get 20 licenses. It's more collaboration with your staff, more ability to distribute video, reports, diagrams, all these things to your players and staff. So we're excited about those. These things really are meant to be utilized as one product now. We don't see them as separate things. So the last thing to mention about that is we are offering prorated upgrades. So if you have, a one license for yourself and you want to get your staff going, don't wait. Let's say you bought last December and you might have 2 months until you're ready to renew. Don't wait. Email us and we'll get you set up on that upgrade for a prorated price. So there's no reason to wait. Just hit us a message, support@fastmodelsports.com, and we'll get you going. And with that said, I'm going to duck out, but I'm really excited for everyone to see the new Fast Scout, Kurt Benjamin. He knows this thing inside and out, and he's going to do a great job highlighting some features for you guys. And then, yeah, interactive, like you said. So I'm excited to hear from you, Tony, and also from listeners on their scouting processes. And let's learn from each other and get better.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Kurt, why don't we go ahead and jump right into it? I want you to be able to have enough time to show everything. And then, like we said, people can reply to this, whether you're on Twitter or on on Facebook, and those comments will come in and we'll add those to the stream. And then maybe, hopefully, one of the two of us can answer them adequately.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Tony. And I want to echo everything that Robbie said. You know, we've worked really hard on making this product as good as it can be for you guys, really helping make all those workflows that you have to do day in and day out when you're scouting opponents a lot more easy, a lot more efficient. So really looking forward to showing you guys our new FastScout Web platform. As Robbie mentioned, my name's Kurt Benjamin. I'm one of the senior account managers at FastModel. And let's just go ahead and jump on into things. As Robbie first mentioned, the biggest change that's coming with FastScout is the move from the old desktop application to moving FastScout to the web. So the first thing you'll notice, you'll actually go to a website, fastscout.fastmodelsports, to log on. You'll have login credentials, and when you pop into FastScout, you're going to notice a few things. Before we jump into all the nitty-gritty of everything, what I want to walk you guys through is your account customization. So when you sign up for a new FastScout account, you're going to have this option to go to the admin portal. So when we click out to that, we will have a bunch of different ways to customize FastScout. We can click into the product, and what we'll want to do here is add and edit our team properties. So when FastScout comes to you guys, it's going to be a generic, create your own kind of feel within the program. You're going to be able to go in here, put your team name, your nickname, put abbreviations, colors, upload your own logo, even choose the height and weight measurements that you guys want to use within the program. Completely customizable. You guys can see here, I'm actually using Fremd High School, my alma mater. And for any of you guys on that are in the Chicagoland area, you might recognize some of the schools we're using here today. The account portal is also where you're going to be able to control all of those users on your account. So if you happen to have that Premier package where you have 20 licenses, you will come in here to actually set up your entire staff, all your players with their logins and everything for both the web and the mobile app. We'll jump back here, and the first thing we'll go over within FastScout Web is our Scouts page. On the Scouts page, it's going to be a very comprehensive view of everything that's going on. Under the first sub-tab, we have our opponent scouts. You'll see every time that you've created a scouting report against any opponent here. We have a self-scouts tab. So a new ability to FastScout Web is going to be the capability of creating a scout against your own team. So you're going to be able to create a scouting report similarly to an opponent. You jump in there. It's a great way to keep tabs on how your team's doing throughout the season. Even though it's a web-based platform, the next tab that you'll see is our offline scouts tab. So you can take any of these opponent scouts and bring them offline right here. And so when you shut your laptop, maybe you're on a bus ride to an away game and you want to work on that scout even when you don't have internet access. If you push it to offline mode before you jump offline, it'll show up there in that offline scouts tab to where you're going to be able to work on that without internet access. Next sub tab we've got is the templates tab. So you guys are able to create an unlimited amount of whatever templates you guys want for your scouting reports. You know, you guys have each individual scouting report that you don't want to have to create from hand. This is a great way to sort of save some time along the way, and we'll sort of get into how to create those templates here in a minute. And then last but not least, we have an archive tab. So anytime you have an opponent scout that you don't want to clutter up your opponent scouts tab with, you can move it to the archive, keep it there where you can still reference the information on it, but you're also going to be able to keep it out of the way of the opponent scouts that you're currently working on. Whenever you're jumping into a new scout, you'll just click New Opponent Scout. You'll give it a name. So we'll call this Hoffman Estates Scouting Report 3. And I'm going to show you the first way. Let's say that we are looking to build our template. I'm going to show you the way to do that. So we'll want to start from a blank template. Also important is setting your game date and whoever on your staff that the scout is prepared by. When you click Create, it'll bring us into our Scout Builder. And so in the Scout Builder, you're going to notice a huge difference from FastScout Classic. This is where most of the ginormous changes have gone on. In FastScout Classic, the biggest pain point was having to type in one area of the program, flipping to a different tab to actually see how it works out on the scouting report when you're printing it. So we want to sort of streamline that process and make this more like a Word document to where you, as you build this scouting report, you're actually going to be able to see the tangible results there. Some of the options that we have going for you guys, we'll first start in the design tab. We've got a bunch of different themes. You can do a portrait or landscape layout, You can put whether you're going to have two opponent logos. You can change the size of the headers on page 1 or after page 1, change the colors. So you have full design capabilities there. Under the tiles area, We have some section headers. This is going to be if you want to sort of separate your scout into separate sections. We have spacer blocks, which will sort of help the actual aesthetic of the report. So it'll help you sort of space out your section headers or your text or your personnel, whatever's on your report. We have some basic text boxes. So let's add one of those. You can see that the text tile comes in. We can just go ahead and start typing. And that text is actually going to save in real time. There's no clicking anything to save. There's no having to flip to a different tab. You can see that report as it's being built. Also, the nice part about FastScout is everything is sort of drag and droppable. So I'll drag this other text block in here. You can see we've got our one that has text in it. If I want this to be the second block on the report, I want the blank one to go first. We can just click, drag, and rearrange those blocks right there. So a lot easier template and scout creation right there already off the bat. Another great aspect of FastScout is you're going to be able to actually adjust anything within the program, whether that's a header, a title, anything. So if we wanted this to be our keys to win section, we can just change that title, click out, and it's saved. Same would be said for the actual scout header. So you could go up here, we could call this our Hoffman States Scouting Report. Same thing, click out, and it's saved. And that's going to be throughout the program. You're going to be able to continuously do that throughout all the time. I'll show you guys a little bit more in depth on the rest of the tiles, but quickly, let's say that we have our entire template laid out. We're good. We want to make sure that we have everything set up for our scout to look exactly like this every time. We can simply create a template. We'll just call this my new template. Click save. And then we'll jump out of the report. And now anytime that we're creating a scout, we'd be able to come in here, just create a test one real quick. And under the saved template dropdown, you're actually going to be able to choose that my new template. And when we create it, it's going to create that scout right off the bat. Any text that you have wanting to carry over scout to scout, it's going to be right there for you guys. I will jump into a scout that I created ahead of time, sort of show you a little bit more about that. This is a fully done scout, as you guys will see when it loads in. I've got some text tiles. I used our custom table feature to create this depth chart so I can sort of show my players, who we're expecting to come off the bench once the starters get out. I've added some play diagrams directly via our FastDraw integration. So even though FastDraw, as Robbie had mentioned, is still on the desktop as that application, anytime that you guys fast share, you're now going to be able to have this play integration, not only in your scouts, but as I'll show you, able to send separately to the web and the mobile app as well. So we've got some play diagrams there for their common sets. And then down below, we've got some personnel. Personnel is typically obviously going to be the most important part of a scout. You're going to go through, you'll be able to adjust any of the stat columns. You can input all this personnel information. Upload pictures is really simple. You just click on it and you can grab something off your desktop. We can type in the text boxes, but the real kicker here is now with FastScout, we have an integrated mobile app that is native to iPhone, iPad, and Android. So it'll be a nice way for you guys to be able to not only send your scouting reports, but integrate film along with your scouting reports. To add film to any tile, we typically see it most with personnel tiles. You'll click the little video icon up here. This will take us to our videos page. And when we go and click add video, we're going to have two options. You guys can add video from the computer or from our VidSwap video integration. Either or works. It's totally up to you, whatever you guys are utilizing. So if you're utilizing a different video breakdown software, you're going to be able to upload that directly from the computer. Our system takes MOVs, MP4s, MKVs, basically whatever you could think of. You're going to be able to upload those clips directly from the computer. Or if you're using VidSwap, you're going to be able to go in and all those custom highlights that you've created, you're going to be able to actually see those built into FastScout and grab those quick clips quickly to add to your scouts. Let's grab a couple clips here that I just have on my desktop. We'll grab these two. And when we click open, what our system is going to do is it's going to quickly upload those clips. And the nice part about this is you're not stuck with whatever title you have on your computer. You're going to be able to adjust all of this on the fly, just like you could anything within your actual scouting report. So once these clips load in, you're going to be able to preview the clip. You can play it. You can make it full screen, actually watch the clip before you pass it along to attach to the scout. You can change the title. So let's call this clip 1. We'll add some gibberish notes there. And then we'll click save. We don't even have to wait for that ISU versus OSU to finish uploading. That will upload in the background even after you click save tile. So once we click save tile, then we're now going to be able to hover back over that video icon, and you can see that we've now got those 2 videos attached to John Robinson's personnel tile. We will get to showing the mobile app here in just a minute, but I sort of want to cover everything else that's on the web quickly before we head over to that. Sometimes you guys might want to send your staff and players some video that might not exactly pertain to a scout. So what we did was, involved with the mobile app, we also have a videos tab for you guys. So this can act as your library to be able to just send miscellaneous clips off. So if you're sending practice film, or you're keeping your video playbook here, whatever it may be, you're going to be able to send all of that video via the videos tile. So pretty simply, just like you could before, you can add from computer or from our VidSwap integration. Grab that clip again, and we will upload it. Again, same options here. You can add that title, you can change the description, and I will show you guys again how everything in the app works when it comes to actually sending to the mobile app. Last but not least, part of the reason I'm so excited about this new FastScout is the way it integrates, as Robbie mentioned, with FastDraw. So no longer are you relegated to just play diagrams. You're now going to be able to actually attach film to those plays. So for example, let's say we just drew up Zip Hammer and we fast shared. It's now coming into FastScout here. What we're going to be able to do, similarly to the videos tab or within a scout, we can grab a clip, upload it to this play. And now we're going to be able to shoot these plays, the videos, the scouts, all off to the mobile app with just a couple clicks. It's super easy. You guys are going to have a nice, easy time doing that. So let's use this play as an example. Anytime you want to send anything to our mobile app, you'll just be able to hop right in and click this little phone icon. And when you do, it'll pull up a list of all users on your account. So once you're in here, you'll be able to select individuals. You can select a couple people if you're sending, positional film to just the guards, whatever it may be, or you can select all with the checkbox up there. When we click save, it's now going to fill in green on the phone icon. You can hover over and see that mobile access is now enabled for it. And we have the video icon showing that that certain play has video attached to it on the mobile app. Excuse me. Same goes for any scout. You can do it outside of the scout or within the actual scout. Up here at the top, you'll see the phone icon there where you'll be able to adjust those. And then last but not least, in the video section, exactly the same workflows within the plays section. You can actually click on the icon right out there and push that video to the mobile app. I know I'm sort of flying through things, but want to make sure that we get to show you all the in-depth stuff on the mobile app. So let me go ahead and pull that up. As I mentioned before, our mobile app for FastScout is native to iPhone, iPad, and Android. It works beautifully on all 3 of them, and everything's going to look the exact same. So when we go into a scouting report, we'll click on this Palatine Scout. I'm actually going to go and refresh. To refresh, all you'll have to do is pull down. You can see that you can go between the opponent or self scouts. We'll go into this Palatine Scout. We have that keys to win tab right up front. You notice that any of the color shading that we did on the web is going to carry over here to the mobile app. We have our depth chart, which was our custom table. Anytime anything's hidden, you can just scroll over simply to see it. Then we have our play diagram. So for example, we added that film to Zip Hammer. So we'll click into that. You'll be able to see those play diagrams with any text that you've written below them there, and then any video that we have attached down at the bottom. I'll show you what that video looks like in a personnel tile. So we'll go down to John, since that's the one we added the video to there. So when we hop into John's personnel tile, we're going to have all of his player information up top, his picture, all those stats that we put into the stat bar. We have 2 text boxes on tendencies and how to guard. And then when we scroll down, we're going to have those couple clips that we added in there. And you can see with clip 1, we added that title and that gibberish notes below. So you can see how those come in as well. Pretty simply, to play any of these clips on the mobile app, you just click the play button. And what our system's going to have for you, it's going to have a couple different options. Exactly what you'd expect out of a media player. You can go full screen by clicking the top left corner. You can obviously turn that sideways to make it a little more viewer friendly. You can also see down here when we swipe out of it that when we play a clip, we're going to have the ability to play it either at full-time speed over here in the bottom right, 2x speed, or half speed. So you can sort of control how you want to watch the clip there. But then the most important part is you're actually going to be able to download these clips to watch offline. So pretty simply, if you want to do that for a single clip, every single clip will have this cloud icon here in the top right-hand corner of it. But a little bit easier for you guys, especially you and your players, what you're probably going to want to watch most of that Scout's film offline if you're going to want to watch any of it. So you can actually just go to the top of a Scout, and at the top right of every single Scout, you'll have that cloud icon that will download every single aspect of the video within that Scout to your offline viewing capabilities. We'll jump back here real quick, show you what our plays look like. So this is our fast draw integration. We obviously have all the abilities that we do on the web where you can filter by season, team, and series. We just pushed that zip hammer set. So we'll go in here. It looks very similar to if we clicked into it within the Scout. You'll see the play diagrams, and then you'll see that video. And then last but not least, we've got our videos tab. This one's the only one that functions a little bit differently. You can still click into any individual clip, but you're going to have from the start, you're going to have that cloud icon up there to download every single clip in the videos tab, and that play button to play everything in order without having to click individually into each different video. I know I kind of flew through things there, Tony, but before I throw it back to you, I do want to mention that this is our premier product for every single level. Any level is welcome to purchase this. However, if anyone here is watching is from any professional leagues, any international leagues, divisions 1, 2, 3, JUCO, NAIA, we've really expanded the amount of leagues that we can provide data to. And so because of that data, we're able to offer a lot more out of our FastScout Web packages. So for example, if we provide data for your league, we're going to have shot charts, we're going to have lineup data, we're going to have automated stats and rosters, all the stuff that would really help you guys save time. So if you guys want to go about checking that out, we're more than happy to demo that for you sometime, or you can hop on one of our webinars. If you're at any of those levels and want to reach out and see about a demo and pricing, feel free to hit us up at sales@fastmodelsports.com. And if you're looking for more inquiry on how to purchase the premier package that I've showed you here today, all those emails can go to support@fastmodelsports.com, as they're going to be the ones to be able to direct you in the right direction. I'll throw it back to you though, Tony, and we got plenty of time for some questions here if anyone has any.
So from a coach's perspective, I had the privilege and was fortunate enough to be able to use this last year with our program. And I will say the stuff that you showed at the beginning with just being able to customize things and the ease in which you can turn boxes anywhere you want on your Scout to emphasize the things that are important and for your players to see what matters most, like just being able to customize everything. I mean, even with the stats, I was able to include what I wanted to. I left things out. The thing that I hear most frequently with coaches is I don't want to give them too much information. And sometimes the scouts that this would spit out just gave them way too much. And so they'd go to using just a Microsoft Word document. You can create that now on your own within FastScout, but then do, like you showed at the end, things that it would take you way too long to do on your own in a Word document. And so just being able to customize everything for me personally was huge. And again, from last year to now, it looks like you all have done enough to make things work, streamline things even faster, to get video in there, to get the pictures, the images of those fast draw. For me, I'm putting in the other team's blobs, I'm putting in the other team's set pieces, right? And so again, I don't have to draw those out, or it's clunky and I have to drag things certain places and save it 5 different ways to finally get it into the Scout or copy things. I can just click a button, upload the file, and I'm good to go. So I would say for a coach, especially a coach, because I know there are some at the college level, we're at the Division III level. And so being able to use something like this, the stats that are already provided for me, that I don't have to go hunting for them and to put them into it, it saves you time. I mean, that's one of the key things with that.
And like you mentioned, the perfect term that you said was streamlined processes. I've done things by hand myself back in the coaching days. I know how big of a pain that can be. And I would have absolutely killed for FastScout Web to have been around then. Not even speaking from a bias standpoint, it literally will save you hours a day. It'll make everything that much easier. And as you said, a lot of people don't want to provide too much information for those players. And this is a great way to control that, because you can send stuff just to coaches, you can send stuff just to players with that mobile app, or still printing. Plenty of people still utilize the print function as they're watching a film edit with the team. They'll still have a printed scouting report in front of them, and then they'll utilize the mobile app as supplemental material, so those kids have the game clips that they're showing on their phones as well. So it can seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but once you realize that you can control everything within the program, not only ease of use for yourself, but also the information intake that your players and staff can have, it just saves hours of time and a lot less stress on everyone's day.
Yeah, for sure. Let me bring Robbie back in here too. The three of us have spent time. Kurt's worked for the Iowa State Cyclones under Coach Hoiberg and Coach Perlman. Robbie's worked with G League teams as a video coordinator. A question that Coach Carrier, that's a friend of ours, had. Just talking about the too much and how much is enough, and how much are they going to be able to intake, that kind of thing. What do you guys feel for a team? You're seeing it at different levels. I think all three of us can speak to three different levels. He's even talking about for a high school team. What's too much? What are some things that you think you have to absolutely hit? Whichever one of you can go first on this.
I'd say, first of all, Coach Carey, great to have you. Longtime follower of Fast Model. And good question. It definitely does depend on the level. And I'll tell you what, I've been out of the game on the sidelines for a few years, but that's something I struggle with on a daily basis, just with content. I want to make the best blog post I can, and I want to get all the points across, but sometimes, nobody has 20 minutes to sit down and read a post. You got to make them quick, to the point. So again, I think that's something I can relate to in other aspects. I think anything more than, what do you think, Kurt? 3 to 4 pages is probably plenty. You're going to have different times of the week. Maybe it's the introduction 48 hours before an opponent, that's heavy, and then after that, it's little bits by bits. What do you think, Kurt?
I would say 3 to 4 is right in the sweet spot too. The only times we're seeing scouting reports that are consistently longer than that is at the NBA level, and that's because they're associating page on page on page of fast draw diagrams with their actual scouts. But when it comes down to actual scouting information, where they're getting information on individual personnel players, on team stats, 3 to 4 pages is just about the sweet spot of where we typically see when people start putting and really refining that template into what's best for their team.
I'll be honest, to an extent, when I was able to use the Fast Scout, there were a couple things that I was including just because I kind of wanted to make it impressive looking and to have the stats there for me. For my players, essentially what I'm putting on there, they need to know matchups. They need to know what I want to do, what we want to do on offense, what the other team's wanting to do on offense versus what we need to do to stop them. And then maybe just 2 or 3. And that's where you showed it, Kurt, but the individual pages where you have the players on it, I think it becomes overload when we're adding 15 bullet points underneath of that. I typically would have like 2 or 3 underneath of it. But again, it's up to you. If you're playing, like you said, Kurt, at a professional level, you might have 20 things under it. So that's why this product is so useful, is because I don't feel like there's a coach sitting out there who's like, nah, that's not for me. That's just for the professional level. Like, again, being able to customize it, but again, it offers. So some people might say, well, then why would I buy it? I can just do that again on Microsoft Word document. What I found was being able to push it out to mobile, because we talk again about, and whether this is social media or marketing or anything like that, that phone is connected to those kids' hands and they're looking at it all the time. It was funny. The other day I went into the locker room, our practice was over. And when I walked into the locker room, all 20 dudes were sitting there looking down at their laps with their phones in there. Well, I'm going to send them a scouting report because there's a better shot of them looking at that for more than 2 minutes than it is for me handing them a piece of paper and looking at it for 2 minutes. And again, once you start improving, the interaction and the being able to have the video on there and pictures on there and that kind of stuff, like that's right up their alley. So I personally felt like there was a better chance of them looking at that thing on their mobile phone as a scouting report than if I were to hand them a piece of paper and go through it. So
100%. Tony, you hit that because I was going to follow up with that difference. I think in Kurt is the same way. Like we go back at our days as GAs and student managers and whatnot, and creating these reports, and they were all on paper, and that was Fast Model's breakthrough. 15 plus years ago, was just creating these reports on paper and streamlining them, and yeah, just what I talked about in the beginning, kind of this evolution, and that's where things are. Things are mobile, things are quick, and I think we've really have hit that with this next phase here of what we have. And then to go back to your point, I think that coach's ego thing, that's tough. We all sit here, we put a lot of time in to watching film, putting these reports together, just like I do with the content I put out now with Fast Model. And yeah, you want everyone to read every little bit of it, but reality is they might not. So again, keeping those things short and simple. Sometimes that means, coach, hey, maybe this other play or this series isn't the 10 most important things, doesn't make the list. We've got to cut it out and find ways to cut that stuff out. So good points there.
Yeah, one more question. What are some of the key points maybe to put in a scouting report? Is from Coach Wingreen when presenting, opponent personnel. So talking about what the other team does. Kurt, do you remember, because you guys played against teams like Kansas, I'm thinking of teams like Texas, that sort of thing, that have these like marquee players, but even the guys that are support, what's too much versus like what do they need to know, and how do you describe that, or how do you put that onto paper so that they understand what you need? I'm sorry for interrupting here. Let me just say one more thing too. I will say this as well. A lot of this, you will save yourself a lot of time if you're practicing and working on these things through the week. I felt like the scout at the end was kind of a summation of what we had been doing throughout the week. And I would assume, Kurt, sorry to interrupt, but I would assume that that's kind of how it was with you all. You all would work through something through a week or through several days, and then the scout would serve again as a summary of what you worked on. But then what would you describe, or what words or what things would you include so the players knew, this guy that's starting guard for Kansas, this is what he does, and this is how we need to stop him?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all comes down to, obviously, your own terminology. Everyone in basketball, we all know what this certain set looks like, but we might call it 10 different things. So what we would do is we would focus on basically making the scout information retention, not learning at that point. So while we're going through practice, we're obviously, the week leading up to a game against Kansas, when we're at Iowa State, we're working on all of their half court sets that we've scouted from video. We're working on their underneath out of bounds. We're working on how they're shooting the gaps defensively. And then so when we actually give the players the scouts, it's nothing new. They're not learning anything right off the bat, or if they are, they probably weren't paying enough attention in practice. But it's more just to hit home whatever you were trying to cover in practice. So obviously with your practice squad, you're having your point guard act like Kansas's point guard. Maybe he's not an elite 3-point shooter. He's going to shot fake and drive hard right every single time. That's being highlighted in the scouting report. And then on top of that, not only retaining the text information, then you've got your 2-3 clips of this point guard driving hard right, trying to get to the hole every single time on that video that you're pushing out with the scouting report to your players. So it becomes this layering effect where you're teaching on the court, you're hitting it home with the printed or the mobile scout, and then you're really, really solidifying that information into their mind. So when they get on the court, they already know exactly what the kid's doing because you've provided them with multiple levels of information on the scout.
Yeah, I would assume, Robbie, it's a little bit different maybe at the professional level, although probably all of that and more.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, got to think back a few years, but I remember our stuff being pretty simple. Because those guys are playing games, at the G League, we were playing back-to-back nights. Then you'd be home for a few days. You'd play your home back-to-back. At least the travel schedule was that way when I was in the league. And we did a podcast, remember, last summer, kind of talking about me working for Coach Nick Nurse, which I'm happy to see his success at the top level, an Iowa guy from the great state of Iowa. So, but yeah, it was more his style, probably also combined with just so many games in a week that you're playing that it's really just those adjustments for the next game for that night. Here's our keys. And again, his style being, we are who we are. up-tempo type of team, taking early shots, taking a lot of threes, but just personnel-based too, and at that level, knowing what guys like to do that you're going against. So, yeah, I'd say a combination of style versus that quick turnaround, keeping it short and sweet.
Sweet.
Tony, real quick, just one more thing to add on. Something I forgot to mention, I think Robbie could attest to this too. What you'll see on most scouting reports at every single level, I could go into 9 out of every 10 accounts that we have in our entire system, and someone at the bottom of each of their personnel tiles, it will have a section of how we guard. So it's more focusing on not only what the opponent's doing, but also how you're planning to attack it, which is a lot easier on the adjustment side to make, obviously, but it can be good to hit those points home on a scouting report too. That is something that's extremely common, and we see a ton throughout scouting reports.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Before we finish up, either Kurt or Robbie, is there somewhere to direct them to find out more? Or I know maybe just simply going to the website, maybe some that jumped on a little bit late. Robbie, where do you want to send them?
Yeah, I mean, we got a few different channels. FastScout.com. You can find information on all the products, Draw, Scout, and some other things we have out there. Stay updated on the blog, doing posts every week with our contributors and with ourselves. So definitely sign up for our email list as well. You can get to that through any of those other channels and just get yourself on the list. That way you won't miss anything. It'll come right to your inbox. Then everyone sees on the bottom here our banner, 10% off for new customers. So if you've been, if you're a coach and you've seen our stuff, you're not sure, now's the time, jump on board, get yourself a discount as a new customer. I think I tweeted this out last week, if I say it the same way, but you won't regret investing in yourself and your team. We've all spent money on a lot of things, and especially this year, people are at home and you're buying different things and getting them shipped, but $100, $200, whatever you're going to spend on the package, you're not going to regret that. You spent the same amount of money on something that you probably haven't used. And if you're a coach, this is a great investment in yourself and your team going forward.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to using the product. Thank you so much for watching. We set the bar high on this first film session. So appreciate both Kurt and Robbie coming on. I'm Coach Tony Miller. This is a Quick Timeout podcast film session. Join us again. Be on the lookout. We'll make sure we advertise that so some great topics coming up. We'll catch you again at the next time out.